Morning traders, this is your DAX Day Trade setup for today. Now, before we start looking at the strategy signals of what we need to look for entries, I just want to highlight our price action at the moment. Now, we had a move to the downside, okay, and we starting from the daily. So we had a 1, 2, 3 correction. So this was the move to the upside. Then we got a 1 move to the downside, up and down again, which was a correction. And the fact that we were gapping down and then rallying, gapping down, rallying, and it's not really a clean 1, 2, 3. So take it with a pinch of salt at the moment. But I think what you have here is inside bar. That's an inside bar there. We had a breakout. We had a good rally. And Friday we ended up with an inside bar for a move to the downside. So first things first is above and below this bar is what we want to use as our levels. Okay. Now let's start looking at diversions. There's a high, higher high, high, higher high. Okay. So yeah, high, high, high. So no diversions there. From here, no diversions. The bottom, no diversions. Okay, so there's nothing that we can pay attention to in that area. We do have a crossover here and a potential crossover brewing at this point. Okay, remember what I said, when they are far apart like this and they cross over, it often signals a fairly strong move to the upside. But what we see here is, look at the tails. There's sellers there on the one day, buyers on the next day. Then we have sellers, then we have buyers on the next day. Okay, we had buyers, and then we had some profit taking pretty much. Okay, we've had a crossover of the moving averages here, but they've gone fairly flat, so that's fairly insignificant for me at this stage. Okay, so let's start drilling down here. Right, if you look at the 4 hour, you can see the sellers were scaling in. You can see there they were. That was on the Thursday where they started, pretty much hit the level that they were looking for, and they stepped in to sell. We've got a crossover. Okay, and we also, no diversions, right. So, and now we have sort of the sellers stepping in here. So first thing to do is just do that. Okay, so this could be a flat bottom triangle brewing, or alternatively it could just be a consolidation triangle ready for this next move, which will pretty much be from here to here. So is that, yeah, so that's around 280 point move. Okay, now let's start looking at our oscillators grouped to the upside. We were pretty much grouped there, but and we got the sell off. Friday was complete indecision, down, up, big down, big up, big confusion. Okay, and the other thing to bear in mind here is you've got inside bar, inside bar. So we've got, there's the bar, there's the inside bar, there's the next inside bar. Okay, now you can read it any which way you want to at the moment, because it can break either way. Because it could be inside bar for move to the upside, or inside bar for move to the downside. All this inside bar is pretty much a range. Okay. Right. So if we drill down the hour, it should become a little bit more clearer. So there is our range through the whole of Friday. We've pretty much ranged between 12,270 and 12,152. Okay, nothing indicating here. So you can see we had a nice crossover far apart, but then we've got a crossover point to the downside. And if I look at where we are right now on futures markets, 12,236, ever so slightly up. Let's get that level. 12,236 of 20. So it's pretty much around a bit more. Yeah, 12,237. So that's pretty much where we are right now. So in the same range of where we closed on Friday, but just hovering around the moving averages on the hour. Okay, so saying that, let's just have a look at the levels that we're looking to pick up. Now, I'm not convinced that we are going to rally, and I'm not convinced that we're going to fall. So we look at the daily here. There's nothing really. I suppose the closest fractal level is going to be this area here, which is right at the bottom of this daily bar. Okay, now that in itself is, that's 230 points and roughly 160 from where we are. So that's something that I would look at for a long. But looking at these moving averages, they have crossed over. Although they are pointing up, prices above them, I'm not convinced that I want to commit to a longer term trade at the moment on this thing. So we need to look at even down to the half hour. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Is this is our range. If we do break below this level on this morning, I'll definitely be looking for the long, sorry, the short, not the long. And the next most logical level is obviously going to be down the bottom here at 12,043. So there's really nothing here that I can see. I mean, you can see, we moved the downside on Friday, and then you've got the grouping here. So you got a bit of a long going here, and then we basically went sideways and then sold off. So, I think my advice to you this morning would be to sit tight. These levels are not set in concrete. I mean, if I go to the weekly, we've broken through these levels. We've not even flirting with them. We're breaking through them. And we have tagged this level here. So, we could still continue moving up. I mean, if you look at the weekly, the trend is up. So this could just be a bit of a consolidation and a pause before the next move up. Very possible. But I really would like to see it. Let's get some kind of a direction on the lower time frames, just to strengthen the move to the upside. So this does also look like a flag, not quite a flag. It's, how do you put it? It's could be a bit of a megaphone. It could. There's just too much indecision here. There's way too much indecision here. What is the pattern? Which direction are we going? All those things you can't really see. It's not that clear. So I'd definitely be looking at a break above 12,270 to give me a longer term direction, and also a 12,152 to give me longer term direction to the downside. That's what I'd be looking at, and I think for me today it's going to be a 12-15 minute chart, and you can see the reason for that is you can see how these moving averages, look at the deviation. So you rally and then you get the deviation so quickly, and then the sellers step in, bring it down. Now we've got deviation brewing again, and we've got a bit of a consolidation here. Okay, so in saying that, if I look at the 12-minute, there's no fractals here. There's only one there. Okay, we've got a grouping to the downside. We've got a bit of deviation here, and this is not off a level though. Not off a daily level, and not off a 4-hour level. There is a 4-hour level there, And it's definitely not off an hourly level. Nope. No hourly levels there either. Okay, so putting it all together, I'd really advise you just to sit tight and wait. I think the European session is going to be fairly flat, and then the US session should get some volatility coming in later in the day. There's still so much turmoil around politics at the moment that I'm even tempted just to keep all my money in my pocket right now. But there's going to be a trade setup that's going to brew shortly. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at this at the moment. Is I'm kind of expecting these series of lower highs to continue, but I also want to see some lower lows. And at this stage, we've got higher lows. So we've got higher lows and we've got lower highs. And all of that means, if I do that, all that means is we have a triangle. Okay, consolidation triangle. So in other words, what I'm expecting today is that we should really, if we gap up, we're not going to go above 12,264. Then more than likely come back down, pick up this bottom level until something happens in the political landscape which will change it. Okay, there is a potential inverse head and shoulders brewing. Okay, there's a shoulder, there's a head, and here's the other shoulder, and there's no real patterns to the downside at the moment, just a consolidation pattern. Okay, so that's kind of what I'd be looking at, is looking at these fractal levels, and obviously being on the 12-minute. Let me just use this one here. There's my fractal to the upside, there's my fractal to the downside. So those are the two areas that I'd be interested in. And it is 12,234 to the upside and 12,181 to the downside. If you pick up those fractals on the 12 minutes, or if you find ones on the 15-minute, then trade that time frame. Don't go and pick up the fractals and then move to a higher time frame. You can move to a lower time frame and trade it, but don't try and pick up those fractals and then move to a higher time frame. It's going to burn you. So whichever level you find those fractals on, that's the trade. Whichever time frame you find those fractals on, that's the one you want to trade. Okay, so I'm kind of expecting more of the same today, more consolidation, unless something is some political breakthrough this morning or late during the day, which enforces us to break either side of this consolidation pattern at the moment. Okay, so that's my view for today. Whatever it is, just keep those stops really tight. And by the looks of things, you're going to have to be on the 5, 10, 12, 15-minute time frames. And if I look at the 6 minutes, here I have a double bottom. Everything's lined up for a double bottom, so I would expect a move to the upside, but it could be short-lived. It could be only 25 points. Okay, so just keep those stops really tight, and whatever you do, whenever you see groupings of the oscillators like this and deviations, look for your exit point at the nearest level. Okay, anyway guys, that's it for me today. Hope it helps, and I'll catch you later. Cheers for now.